Hello everyone, my name is Emily and welcome to another video on Emily XO. Today's video is one that I am so excited about. Ta-da! So this is the Colourpop No Filter Foundation. I just got it in the mail today. I ordered it last Thursday? Yeah, last Thursday, and it's already here on Monday, which is pretty impressive. That was really fast processing and shipping, so shout out to them. I am so excited for this foundation though. I've always said if Colourpop came out with foundation, it would be game over. I would be all over that. I've already loved their concealer, which you guys know I've talked about that so many times before, so I was super duper excited to try this. I knew I had to buy this as soon as it came out, and it's here. So I purchased mine in the shade Fair 10. They do currently have 42 shades for this foundation, and that is absolutely amazing. So shout out to Colourpop for coming out with 42 shades on their launch. It runs in, I believe, fair, light, medium, deep, and deep, possibly 5 different categories. But they do go pretty light and pretty dark. This is the second lightest shade in the group, and they do have it broken down into 3 undertones: cool, warm, and neutral. So before we get into the foundation, I want to talk about the shade matching a little bit because I felt a little bit frustrated by it. I've always had issues matching my foundation shade though, so I mean maybe it's just a me thing, but they have the ability to simply select like what type of undertone and everything and shade you're looking for, or you have the ability to match by brand. Now I personally decided to match by brand. I started with using the Maybelline Fit Me in the Dew and Smooth in the shade 110, which is porcelain, since that is what I'm currently using. However, when you pick that one, it does match me with Fair 15, which is a warm foundation with light yellow undertones for very fair skin tones. I am not warm undertone though. I am a neutral undertone, which I find very hard to find in drugstores. I feel like a lot of them either run with a cool or with a warm. Neutral seems to be harder. So I tend to lean towards a more cool undertone just because I feel like that is easier to work with, and a cool undertone is going to look better on me than a warm undertone because that washes me out. So instead of going that way, I decided to use the Find Your Shade on here. So I selected that I want a neutral undertone in the fair category. Problem with that is it gives me Fair 05 and Fair 30. Fair 05 I knew was going to be absolutely too dark for me, or too light for me, and Fair 30 definitely would have been too dark for me, and in between that you have 10, 15, and 20. So I decided to go with Fair 10, which is a cool undertone, because like I said, I feel like cool undertones for me are easier to work with than a warm undertone. They match better to my skin without making me look too orangey or too yellow. So as a result, I felt a little bit frustrated by that. I just feel like the shades jump so much that I couldn't really match. So I decided to go with Fair 10. You'll see in the video what I think of that shade and how it actually works out for me. But Fair 10 was kind of a gamble. I really wasn't sure if it was going to be the right shade, or if it was going to be too light for me, or if the undertones were going to be all wrong, but I decided to try that one because in my opinion, if you go a little too light, you can make it work better than if you go too dark. I also do have another foundation that is a little bit too dark for me, so I figured at the very least, if this one is too light, I can mix it in with that one and kind of make it work for me. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're actually going to read some of the claims for this. So the No Filter Matte Foundation. Developed for the selfie age, our full coverage natural matte foundation delivers flawless looking skin from day to night. The oil-free lightweight formula blends smoothly and is easily customizable to create the coverage you want. Build it up or sheer it out. It was developed with innovative soft blurring pigments to deliver true color while looking and feeling natural. The lockable pump is easy to use and keeps your routine mess-free. As always, 100% cruelty-free and vegan. So those are really nice. So they do claim that it is a matte finish with full coverage, which those claims on it didn't surprise me too much considering their concealer is also pretty matte and it does have a fairly decent full coverage to it. So I am pretty excited to try this out. Like I said, I have always wanted Colourpop to come out with a concealer. I knew as soon as they did it was going to be absolutely amazing. I was really excited to try this product out. Let's go ahead and pull it out here. So The only thing I don't like, it retails for $12, which is not a bad price. However, you only get 0.85 fluid ounces. You do not get a full standard fluid ounce, which I don't really understand why. I don't see why they didn't just go for a full fluid ounce on it, because that really is kind of the standard. And so for $12, it's not bad, but you're not getting the full ounce. So I don't know, I was a little miffed about that. But overall, the packaging is nice. It's just this little, is it plastic? I think it might actually be plastic. No, it's glass. It's glass. This little glass bottle with little stars, and it says Colourpop No Filter Foundation. The color is listed on the bottom here, and then it does have a lockable pump. So once I lock it, it won't press. I would prefer it came with a cap. I like my things to come with like a clear cover, but because it is lockable, that at least helps prevent any mess and makes it easier to travel with. But otherwise, I am beyond excited to try this out for you guys. So enough jabber jabber from me. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I have already washed, moisturized, and primed my face. For primer, I use the Revlon Photo Ready Pore Reducing Primer. That is the primer that I use most often if I do reach for a primer. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get started with this. I am going to work on this half of my face with a beauty blender, and on this half of my face, we're going to go in with a brush. Typically, I do apply my foundation with a beauty blender, but I did want to try it with a brush just to see if I could get any different coverage, and for those of you who may use a brush. So I'm just using this little, it's actually a jar lid here, and that's where I'm going to put the foundation, just so I have a more easy, even surface. So we're just going to go in with one pump. Oh, it's like way more liquidy than I expected. I don't know why, but I was expecting it to be, I don't know, I guess thicker, but it's really thin and runny. But we're going to go in and start applying. I'm still not really sure about this shade. Actually, I think this may be a little bit light. Ooh, wow, yeah. Hoping this will oxidize a little bit, actually. Typically, I don't want foundations to oxidize, but I think this might be a little light. However, like I talked about in the beginning, the shade matching was kind of difficult to go through. Yeah, that's definitely on the light side. I already used that full pump there, so I'm going to go in with about half of them to try and get my forehead. Wow. Definitely too light. I also went a little heavy on the forehead. Oh my, okay. Well, it doesn't really seem to be oxidizing, so we definitely went too light. I look super washed out right now, but nonetheless, we're gonna keep going. Otherwise, overall application, I mean, it blends on really nicely, really smoothly. I would say right now I'm getting fairly light coverage with just that first application. As far as the color is concerned, I'm not extremely worried, because I do have some darker foundations that could use lightening up, so I can always mix those together and kind of make it work. But I probably will go up a shade the next time I order. We're going to go in now, and we are going to add another pump and go in with the brush. So I'm just using this brush here. It's made by Emax Design. They're just a brush set that I've had for a while. I don't typically like applying with a brush. I just feel like it looks very uneven and very streaky when I do, but like I said, for the sake of the video, I wanted to at least try it out. Yeah, see, I don't like a brush application in general. Wow, this is way too light. I look so washed out. My, that makes me quite upset, but we're gonna keep going. I think I'm gonna actually touch up this side with my beauty blender because I just don't like a brush application. Okay, so besides the fact that the shade is horrible for me, I'm liking the way it feels. It is pretty sticky still, so it isn't quite drying down. And I am getting a little bit of transfer on my fingers when I do that. I'm going to try and go in with another layer and see if we can build it up at all. So this is layer 2. Alright, so I would say it is buildable. You can definitely see this side definitely looks like more coverage. This shade is just so bad though. I look like a ghost. I mean, it's great that they have such a great shade range for people who are much paler than me, but it is a shame that this isn't going to work well. I'm just going in with a second layer over here. Okay. I can't even take myself seriously with how off this shade is. Let me try and, like, in case you guys aren't getting the full effect here. I look very, very white. I plan to do a wear test tomorrow, but honestly don't know if we're going to be able to make that happen with just this foundation because the shade is just so off. I can definitely tell it's transferring already. I like touched my nose a little bit right here and it like completely came off. So it's definitely one you would have to set. It is nicely buildable though. I don't think it looks too bad or too cakey. I like the way it feels. It feels very lightweight on my skin and it looks like the foundation itself looks nice. The shade is absolutely horrible, but otherwise, although I think I'm either getting used to it or it has oxidized slightly. Actually, I think it did oxidize a little bit. Not quite enough. I would still say this is probably half a shade too light. But yeah, actually, I can't tell if I'm just getting used to it or if it is actually oxidizing slightly. But let's kind of talk a little bit about the foundation itself. It did apply really nicely. I definitely prefer a sponge with it over a brush, but I prefer a sponge with all of my foundations. So I really can't speak on behalf of how well it does apply with a brush. I would say, like, on initial application, the coverage was looking better with a brush. I find it looks streaky. I find it looks uneven. I can never make a brush work as well as I can a sponge. A sponge just gives me a smoother, more flawless application. It does feel really lightweight. It doesn't look too cakey. I would say it looks really smoothing. It is a pretty matte finish like they claim. Yeah, overall it's looking pretty good. Sorry, I'm looking myself in the mirror over here. I like the finish. I like the way it feels. The shade is just to be determined. I think it has oxidized slightly actually, and it's not looking too bad, but I would be curious to try maybe a shade up. But I don't know, because as I kind of talked about in the intro, the reason I went with 1-0 is because they told me to try 0.5 or 30, which is such a huge gap that I felt like 0.5 was going to be too light, which I definitely think it would be, and 3.0 I still think would have been too dark. So it's kind of a hard way to match up, but I think I can make the shade work for me. I'm just not thrilled with it. Otherwise, undertone wise, I would say this has a more cool undertone to it, so they did well with that. It's making me look washed out right now just because it is such an off shade, but yeah, I think it is oxidizing. It is also creasing on my eyelid already. I definitely think it's going to be one that you will have to set. I don't think this is going to be a super long lasting. I will be doing a wear test tomorrow. We're going to try and make it work with the shade we have here. But Otherwise, I think I like it. I will kind of let you guys know more after the wear test and I see how well it does and see if we can make it work with this kind of washed out shade here. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll check back in with you guys and we'll see if maybe a little bit of bronzer will warm this foundation and make it salvageable. Alright, and we're back. So bronzer and blush kind of saved the day. I still look a little bit on the paler side, but I think it's a slightly more acceptable pale. I don't know, we're gonna go with it since I did purchase this and they don't accept returns. So overall, I'm not loving this so far as much as I wanted to. I mean, I know Colourpop is not exactly the highest end of makeup, but I was really hoping for something with just a little more, I don't know, a little more high quality, I guess, which maybe I have the wrong expectations from Colourpop. I mean, it blends out nice, but I'm definitely getting creasing under the eyes, on the eyelids pretty badly, and it does transfer quite easily. So, I don't know. We'll set it tomorrow once I actually do my wear test and see kind of how it goes. I want to go bring you guys into a slightly different lighting though so we can see. I feel like it's coming off a little bit whiter here than it is now in this mirror. I feel like in this mirror it actually looks okay, but to you guys I feel like it still looks pretty pale. So we're gonna go move lightings a little bit. Alright, so it's dark and stormy, so I don't have like natural lighting, but this is pretty good lighting, I feel. You can definitely tell it's still kind of on the pale side. Probably should have gone with 15, but I believe 15 was a warm color, so I don't think I would have liked that either because I don't like warms. They make me look way too yellow. So I don't know. We might try another shade once I run out of this one and see if we can make a different one work. But otherwise, we will go ahead and move on into the wear test. Alright, so makeup is on. It's still looking kind of pale, kind of odd, but we're going to work with it. I did notice application-wise, it was a little bit trickier to apply this morning. It was, when I was using my beauty blender, it almost makes, and if you've used a beauty blender, I'm sure you know what I mean, like stamping spots where the coverage just doesn't stay. But I'll go into that a little bit later. I really don't have a lot of time to film right now, unfortunately, because I super duper overslept for work this morning, but I still wanted to get my makeup on so we could do this review. So I'm gonna go pack my lunch and eat my breakfast in like 6 minutes. Bye. Alright, so we are doing a quick check-in. It's currently 5:15 and I've had this on since about 7:30 this morning. It's not looking bad, but it's not looking great. It's like really clinging to all of my acne and dry patches down here, and I'm definitely getting some like general wear offness. Everything in this area still looks like really nice though, like all my powders and highlighters stayed on really well, so I'm really happy with that. But otherwise I'm just not loving it. The shade also, because it's so off and so light, like I feel like it just makes me look very washed out right now. I've also lost a lot on my nose. There's some creasing kind of all in this area. I just feel like right now it looks really dry and not very great. It doesn't look like nice and luminous and everything. And I mean, granted, I have been wearing it for about 8 hours now, but still, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I've had foundations last a lot better than this. So feeling a little bit disappointed. I'll check in again in a couple of hours and that'll be kind of our last wrap up right at about the 12-hour mark, and we'll see if anything's changed. Alright, so it is now 6:56, so it's just before 7, so it's been on for about 11 and a half hours now, and I'm still seeing pretty much the same stuff I was seeing earlier. Like it's starting to rub off more down here and still very clinging, and there's a lot has rubbed off on my nose. Overall, it doesn't look bad. It just looks like a foundation I've been wearing for a while. And I'm not entirely through because I feel like it looked worse like sooner in the day than a lot of foundations I have. I didn't get any video footage of that and I do apologize. I was at work and it was just busy, so I wasn't able to get any footage earlier. But it's kind of looked basically like this since about 11 to 12 this morning. So all in all, it kind of deteriorated pretty quickly. And again, the color, I'm still not loving it. It's kind of making me look a little washed out, like mostly right in here where I don't like have any bronzer or anything on. So overall, I will give this one like a 5 out of 10. Not great, not horrible. I am disappointed though. I really wanted to love this foundation more than I ended up loving. I am going to play with it some more though and see if maybe the right type of primer, a more hydrating primer, would keep it looking better throughout the day. I'm going to try mixing it to see if we can get the shade to match a little bit. But overall, so far, not a serious winner for me. But I mean, Colourpop has some really other great items, and maybe they will improve the formula with time and it'll be a little bit better. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm sorry that I didn't get as much footage for the wear test here. Like I said, I was just at work and I was busy, and this morning, because I overslept, it just made this morning kind of crazy. But nonetheless, I do hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you've tried the Colourpop foundation, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of it. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not already subscribed, please do so. I normally upload every other Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time, and I think that is about it. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you soon. Bye.